4.6 is factoring completely, which means that we're going to end up using more than one method for each type of factoring, which is why I had you get the whiteboards out. So what I want you all to do for each of these is we're going to do number 1 together, but the rest of them I'm going to have you do the problem on the whiteboard, and after you factored correctly, then you can copy it into your notes, okay? So I'll be coming around and checking, all right? So, first example, 2y squared minus 8. So what we're going to do for each one is I'm going to actually write down which method we're using when we use it. This chart is going to help you out. I will write perfect square trinomials on it before we leave today, because you always want to check in that order. So what's the first thing we should always check for? GCF. Okay, look at number 1. Do you guys see a GCF?
Yes.
Yes. What is it?
2.
It's 2. So factor out a 2. And then write GCF next to it so that you know which method you used. If I factored out a 2, what's left inside the parentheses? Y squared minus 8 divided by 2 gives me 4. Okay, normally, previously to this, we would have stopped here. Does anybody else see another factoring method we can use? Raise your hand when you see it. If you see it, keep your mouth shut. Just raise your hand. So look at the problem. What's left over? Is there another factoring method we can use? Raise your hand when you see it. Okay, what I want you to do is turn to your neighbor and tell them what the other method is. Okay, who can tell me what it is? Genevieve? It's a difference of 2 squares. Look at that. So we need to bring the GCF down. This is the one thing students forget all the time. They think that after they factor out the GCF, it goes away. Does the GCF ever go away?
No.
No. So bring it down. And then how do I set up difference of 2 squares? There's 2 parentheses. One's a plus, one's a minus. What's the square root of y squared? Y. So y and y. What's the square root of 4? 2 and 2. So that was a difference of 2 squares. Write it down next to where you did it. Okay, does anybody see anything else we can do to break it apart? No, this is it. This is as far as we can go. So that is your answer. Okay? So, example 2, I want you guys to try it in your on your whiteboard. So write it in your notes and then try it on your whiteboard. Okay, you should always check for what first? GCF. Most of you got the GCF. What was it? 2. So let's factor out the 2. If I factor out the 2, what's left over? What's 2x squared divided by 2? X squared. What's 8x divided by 2? 4x. What's negative 10 divided by 2? Negative 5. Okay, so a lot of you got this far. That was GCF. And then a lot of you stopped. Is what's left over a difference of 2 squares? No. So what's the next one I'm going to try? Diamond. Is this a diamond method? Yeah, it is. What are the 2 numbers that multiply to negative 5 and add up to 4? 5 and? 1. Negative 1. So the 2 stays. So we have 2 times x plus 5 times x minus 1. And that was a diamond. And that's your answer. Okay. Okay, so I saw a couple of you going straight to bottoms up, and when you all did bottoms up, what happened to that GCF? It went away. It stays there, so that's why we always check for a GCF first. Okay. Okay, erase the boards. Try example 3. It's very similar to example 2.
Why?
Okay, there was actually 2 ways to do number 3, but the first thing you should always check for is what? GCF. Did you find a GCF? Yes. What was it? A Y. This guy doesn't have a 2, so it's not 2, but all of them have a Y, so pull out the Y. If I pulled out a Y, what's left over of this guy? X squared. What's left over of that guy?
Oh my.
4x. And what's left over of that guy? 4. Everyone got to this point, yes? Yes. Okay, from here there were 2 methods. You could either use diamond, or, if you notice, it's a what?
Perfect square.
It's also a perfect square trinomial. You could have used either method, okay? Okay, so this was 2 methods. You could either use diamond or perfect square trinomial. I'm going to use diamond right now. And what are the 2 numbers that multiply to 4 and add up to 4? 2 and 2. So the y comes down, and we get x plus 2 times x plus 2. You could have stopped there, or some of you recognize that this was a perfect square trinomial. And you got y times x plus 2 squared. No, you could have gone straight from here to here.
But don't you have to write it out for that?
Can help me out. What is the very first method we can use? GCF. What's the GCF? 3. So factor out a 3. What was left over?
There's not going to be so much or something.
Good. X squared plus 6x minus 7. Write this in your notes because I want you to have it actually written down. Please write down that it was GCF. Okay, the next method we check is difference of 2 squares. Is this difference of 2 squares? No. It has 3 terms, and not all of them are perfect squares, so there's no way it can be difference of 2 squares. So what method would this be? What method did you guys use?
Diamond.
Diamond method. So the GCF comes down. We know there's going to be 2 parentheses. It's diamond. What are 2 numbers that multiply to -7 and add up to +6? -1, +7. So that's x minus 1 times x plus 7. Good. You guys did good on that one.
Oh, I did good on it, but I didn't change it right.
No, it does not matter which one is first. So if you wrote 3 times x plus 7 times x minus 1, it's the same thing. Okay, last one. Try this one on your own. This should be easy. Example 5. 64 minus 4x squared. Now before you do anything, we always check for what first? Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Very first thing we should always look for is what?
GCF.
GCF. Now I saw a lot of you that factored out a GCF of what? 4, and then it went away, so you left me with 16 minus x squared. Where did the GCF go? Does it go away? It goes on the outside. It doesn't go away. It stays on the outside. Now, look at what I'm left over with. Am I finished factoring? No. What's the second method we should always check for? Difference of 2 squares. How many terms are right here? 2. Are they being subtracted?
Yes.
Are they perfect squares? Yes. So are they a difference of 2 squares? Yes. So it's a difference of 2 squares. So what is my rule for difference of two squares? We have two parentheses. One is plus and one is minus. Now this is one thing I'm going to go over, you guys, when we look at the quiz. The order that the problem is, your answer has to stay in that order. So what's the square root of 16? 4. So 4 comes first. You don't switch the order. They have to stay in the same order. What's the square root of x squared? X. So we have 4 times 4 plus x times 4 minus x. Ryan, what's your question?
Why does it have to be in the same order?
Good question. Why does it have to be the same order? For addition, it doesn't really matter, right? But with subtraction, does order matter? Yeah. For example, if x is equal to 2, what would 4 minus 2 be? 2. What would 2 minus 4 be?
-2.
-2. Are these two the same thing? No. So our order makes a difference. So keep it in the same order that the problem is given in. Okay? So we have our 5 methods. You are going to go through those exact same steps every single time.
Peace out, Holmes.